The ground shook, and Kawaki looked at Naruto, with a darkness in his eyes that had never been there before. Naruto, even wounded and already worn out from the previous battle, tried to hold the boy's hand, but felt an unsettling energy vibrating from the karma on Kawaki's arm, and knew that something was going terribly wrong. Kawaki's scream of pain pierced the air, and it wasn't a scream of rage, it was pure despair, because he was losing control of everything, and that included his own mind. He saw flashes, images of his brutal childhood and of Isshiki, and the fear of becoming that monster was consuming his soul. Naruto felt Kawaki's ki explode, a wave of power that made the air grow heavy and was unlike any chakra he had ever felt, and knew that if he didn't stop it, the entire village would be in danger. He reached out again, trying to grasp the boy, but an invisible force threw him back. Citizens of Konoha who were near the plaza watched in terror as the ground cracked and black lightning shot out from Kawaki's body, and you could feel the terror, a chilling wave that paralyzed even the bravest ninja. Panic began to spread. Kawaki's eyes turned purple, a sinister glow that carried the overwhelming power of karma in its most advanced stage, and he was no longer the boy Naruto knew. He was an entity of pure rage, driven by an ancestral fear of losing his identity. That was the most primal form of Isshiki's karma. "Stop, Kawaki," Naruto yelled, his eyes resolute. "You can resist, I know you can." He tried to get up, but every muscle in his body screamed in pain, and the boy's overwhelming power was insane, something he would never expect to see. The next move could be fatal, but Kawaki wasn't listening. He wasn't seeing Naruto, he was seeing Isshiki. He was seeing his past, and the fear of becoming a tool again was so huge that it made him attack without thinking, because he just wanted to stop the pain, the pressure inside him, that was burning every cell of his body. Suddenly, Kawaki materialized a blade of black chakra, fast as lightning, and aimed it at Naruto, who was on the ground, unprotected. It was an attack that transcended the speed of light, and Naruto's body was pierced straight through, right in the chest, with a sickening thud. A deafening silence fell over Konoha as Naruto's blood stained the plaza ground, and the seventh Hokage's eyes lost their light, and everyone saw the scene, frozen in pure shock. The image of the fallen hero was simply unbelievable to anyone. Sakura let out a scream of horror that echoed through the buildings, and Sasuke appeared out of nowhere, his eyes wide, paralyzed, because he never imagined he would see this. And despair took over, a cold that froze the souls of all inhabitants. Konoha was in panic. Kawaki, with the blade still impaled in Naruto's chest, gasped for breath, his face covered in tears of pain and terror, as the dark power of karma pulsed around him, and the darkness in his eyes promised a new and terrible awakening. Dude, the air froze and time stopped, because no one could believe what had just happened right there. Sakura fell to her knees near Naruto, and tears of horror streamed down her face, because it was simply impossible for her friend, the Hokage, to have fallen like that, and the shock was a punch to the gut. Sasuke was paralyzed, and felt an immense emptiness taking over his chest. Kawaki dropped the black blade, and he fell to the ground, trembling because his purple eyes returned to normal, and the karma pulsed faintly. But the pain of guilt already began to consume his mind, and he didn't understand what he had done. It was pure despair. The news spread through Konoha faster than Minato's flying Raijin, and every citizen felt a chill down their spine, because Naruto was their hope, the force that kept everything standing, and without him the world simply made no sense. Grief turned into panic in the streets, because the seventh Hokage was dead, and no one knew who could protect the village now. And people looked at Kawaki with a mix of fear and crazy anger, and fury began to simmer. They wanted answers and revenge. Sasuke then felt the pain rise, and he fell beside Naruto, and touched his friend's cold skin, and his Rinnegan spun with an intensity never seen before, because his heart was broken. It was an unbearable feeling of failure. He hadn't protected Naruto, and the promise he made long ago to protect the Hokage was shattered, and the anger at himself was a fire burning inside him, growing more intense with each passing second. He was empty, but filled with a new thirst. Sasuke's gaze locked onto Kawaki, a look of pure, icy hatred that promised death, and Kawaki felt every cell of his body tremble, because he knew Sasuke wouldn't forgive him. That look said it all. The Anbu arrived en masse, and they surrounded Kawaki, their kunai drawn, because the order was clear. But Sasuke stepped in front, protecting the boy somehow, and no one understood why. It was an unexpected gesture. "He won't escape," Sasuke said in a low, hoarse voice, and the fury in his eyes was a dark promise. "Not while I'm alive, and I swear he will pay for every drop of blood." His vengeance was just beginning. Then, a different tremor shook the earth, and a dark energy began to spread around Konoha's outskirts, and the voice of a shrouded figure whispered from afar, "The ninja world just lost its main pillar. Something new and very dangerous was approaching." Kawaki was cornered, with Sasuke's icy gaze locked on him, and the entire village wanting his head. The Anbu closed in, their kunai glinting in the faint sun, but Sasuke's aura was far more terrifying, a promise of pain Kawaki felt in his soul. The earth still trembled faintly, and the dark energy that had appeared earlier pulsed outside, like an omen. Guilt burned within him, a hell he'd never imagined feeling, but an even more macabre thought pounded in his mind. If Naruto didn't die, something worse would happen. It was an insane burden. He knew he looked like a monster, a traitor, but the truth was a double-edged sword, and he needed to explain before everything was lost forever. Why, Kawaki? Sasuke's voice was a low growl, laced with lethal venom. Tell me why you did this to Naruto. Sasuke's Sharingan and Rinnegan glowed with a deadly fury. Kawaki raised his face, eyes red and swollen from crying, and the pain in his voice was palpable. I had no choice, Sasuke. Naruto. He had to die. It was an unbelievable truth, but for him, it was the only way out. A deadly silence fell over the plaza, because no one believed what they were hearing. And Kawaki continued, his voice choked with emotion. A greater danger, Isshiki was just the tip of the iceberg, and his death opened an even darker door. He spoke of something Sasuke couldn't even imagine. His sacrifice was to save all of us, Sasuke, so that the ninja world wouldn't be wiped out by a force that not even he could face. The words were cruel, but the conviction in Kawaki's eyes was absolute. Sasuke's eyes widened, and the hatred on his face turned into a huge confusion, and he couldn't process that information, because Naruto's death couldn't be in vain. He didn't know what to believe. The earth trembled again, stronger this time, and a dark rift began to open in the plaza ground, near where Naruto lay, and a cold, ancient energy began to leak out, making the air grow heavy with terror. Kawaki's eyes fixated on the rift, and a genuine, even more intense fear took hold of him. He's coming, and now that Naruto isn't here, there's no one to save us. The real danger had just begun. That rift was the beginning of the end. Dude, the earth tore open and black, icy smoke began to rise from it, and you could feel a chill down your spine that was out of this world, because the energy was heavy, ancient. The terror in Kawaki's eyes was huge, and he wasn't bluffing. He knew no one would believe him, but there was no more time to explain, because that thing would destroy everything, and he needed to act fast. The price of escape was high, but Naruto's death couldn't be in vain. The Anbu charged forward, kunai glinting, and Sasuke stepped forward, his Sharingan and Rinnegan burning with pure hatred, but Kawaki didn't see them. He saw the threat emerging from the rift, and he would do whatever it took to stop it. Suddenly, karma exploded on his arm, but it wasn't the blind fury from before. It was controlled power, a wave of black chakra that seemed to swallow the light, and his skin became covered in strange, insane patterns. He wasn't the same. One of his hands transformed into a giant blade of pure karma energy, and with a swift and brutal movement, he sliced through the ground, creating a deep crater that threw the Anbu away like ragdolls. The force was overwhelming. The ninjas screamed and were hurled back, and Konoha's fury turned into even greater panic, because Kawaki was showing off some unreal power, something they'd never seen, and he was fleeing directly into the danger he himself pointed out. It was unbelievable. Sasuke lunged, Chidori blazing, but Kawaki dodged with an agility that was almost supernatural, and in his gaze there was a pain, an agony of someone doing something they didn't want to, but that had to be done. The hunt had truly begun. He ran towards the village walls, using Karma Blast to destroy anything in his path, carving a path of destruction that left the Anbu and Jonin far behind, because his speed and strength were on another level. As he ran, the energy from the rift began to intensify, and the air grew even denser, and Kawaki knew that the enemy he had come to face was way closer than they imagined. Time was running out fast. He leaped over the wall with an insane karma boost, leaving Konoha behind in ruins and chaos. But as he looked at the horizon, he saw the dark silhouette of a giant figure forming, and a chill froze his soul. Boruto's scream tore through the air, and the sight of Naruto fallen, the rift in the ground, and Kawaki fleeing ignited an insane fury within him. He had just arrived, and the image of his father, the seventh Hokage, motionless, blood on the ground, was something that shocked him to the core of his soul, and his world turned upside down in a second. Despair mixed with a cruel rage. The karma on Boruto's arm began to pulse strongly, and he felt his father's pain, and the desire to destroy whoever did that was so great that he almost lost control. He wasn't going to let Kawaki get away with it. Kawaki, Boruto roared, a blue bolt of chakra forming in his hand as he shot towards his adopted brother, and Sasuke's Rinnegan glowed in the distance, seeing the scene with a soul-piercing pain. The fight was inevitable. Kawaki didn't even look back, but replied with a choked voice, full of pain and despair. Get out of here, Boruto. You don't understand. You cannot understand what's happening. He was trying to escape, not fight. Boruto ignored him, unleashing a Rasengan blast that forced him to stop, and the fury in Boruto's eyes mirrored the fury Kawaki had felt moments before. But Boruto fought for revenge, while Kawaki fought for a mysterious cause. Explain yourself then, you traitor, Boruto yelled, his karma pulsing again. But then Kawaki turned, and his gaze, a mix of guilt and genuine fear, made Boruto hesitate for a split second. Isshiki wasn't the worst, Boruto. The real danger comes now. Kawaki pointed to the rift opening in the plaza, from which black, icy smoke continued to rise, and his voice was an urgent whisper. Isshiki's karma, even after death, attracted an ancient entity, a world-consuming force, and Naruto sacrificed himself to buy us a chance. Boruto felt a chill down his spine, and the giant figure on the horizon began to take shape. Clearer, more terrifying, and the energy emanating from it made Ishiki's karma look like child's play. His body trembled with fear. He opened a portal for a sacrifice, Boruto, the only way to seal this threat. And if I don't go after it, Konoha and the entire world will be wiped out, Kawaki pleaded. But the giant figure on the horizon began to raise a hand, and the dark energy intensified, a sign that time was running out. Boruto looked at his fallen father, then to Kawaki, and then to the monstrous shadow on the horizon, and the anger turned into a doubt that gnawed at his heart, because the truth Kawaki was telling was too horrific to ignore. And the rift near Naruto pulsed with a sinister energy. The choice between revenge and the salvation of everything he knew was right there, but the creature outside was about to attack, and Boruto knew that the fate of the ninja world was in his hands. Dude, the creature on the horizon screamed, a sound that froze blood and vibrated the air, and Boruto felt his karma pulse stronger, but it wasn't from rage, it was pure fear, because that thing was giant, and Kawaki's warning was real. The village was about to be wiped out. He saw the monstrous shadow raise its hand, and a black beam, dense as night itself, descended towards Konoha, and the destruction was instantaneous, ripping an even bigger crater where the village entrance once was. The people's screams of panic echoed. Boruto froze, body paralyzed, and the image of his fallen father and the village being destroyed burned in his mind, and he understood that revenge could wait, because the entire world was in danger, and he needed to act now. The pain of loss turned into an insane focus. Kawaki, what do we do, dude? Boruto yelled, his eyes meeting his brother's, and the urgency in his voice was clear, because there was no more time to argue. The creature's strength was overwhelming. They needed a plan, and fast. Kawaki didn't hesitate, his gaze determined, and karma glowed on his arm. Naruto opened an escape route for this thing, Boruto, but also a portal of sacrifice, and I need to go after it. His voice was grave and heavy with a weighty decision. I need to seal this threat from the inside out, Boruto, and you're the only one who can protect Konoha out here, Kawaki continued, pointing to the rift pulsing near Naruto, and the creature was getting closer, growing more giant with each passing second. The choice was cruel. Boruto felt a lump in his throat, because letting Kawaki go, after everything, was insane. But he looked at his father's body and the village in ruins, and the truth was more painful than any punch. He had to trust him. Go, Kawaki. I'll handle things here, Boruto yelled, his karma exploding on his own arm, a blue glow that seemed to defy the darkness. And he charged forward alone, towards the creature, creating a distraction. He was ready to fulfill his promise. Kawaki nodded, a final glance at Naruto and Boruto, and then with a powerful leap, he plunged into the dark rift, and the karma pulsed like an otherworldly force, and the rift closed, swallowing him. A strange silence hung in the air. The creature, now even more terrifying, and with a shapeless face that invoked ancient nightmares, let out a scream of fury and attacked Boruto with overwhelming energy, because its main target had fled, and Boruto was there to stop it. Boruto felt his body ache and his karma burn, and he knew that the path ahead would be dark. But with Naruto and Kawaki gone, he was the last hope for Konoha and the ninja world, and the fight against the new villain was just beginning. So dude, did you dig this insane plot twist? Naruto's sacrifice, Kawaki's despair, and Boruto's new path? This story still has so much to tell. So you don't miss the next level of this saga, go ahead and hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and tell us what you think.